Hopefully efficient.
I get that excited when I don't have to take.
All right. So this is the one you're talking about, right?
E.
Okay. And then 3A. So insert a formula into F4, which is the total for those particular call it invoices. It doesn't call this it's a billing statement or billing tally. And so first thing you want to do is come in here, which is going to be put in a formula, and it multiplies the rate by the hours. So we're just going to type in equals, you can either do E, sorry, this thing is off the page, I can't quite see. E4 times C4. Absolutely no difference between doing E before D or D before E. It doesn't matter. But since mentally I am multiplying my rate times the number of hours, that I just mentally put it that way. Doesn't matter. If you had wrote D4 times D4, that's fine too. So this person owes $37.50. Now, there's a number of ways you can copy that down. I can just do a Control C, and notice how it becomes highlighted, and I just go, that's down to the end. Yep, no. And then I can do a Control V, and it's going to fill that all in. Boy, this thing's going slow. Or it was going to do it. There we go. So I can do that. One of the cool things with, and every year it gets better at this, I'm going to undo that. I have this formula up here, and I can, right in the bottom corner of that, I can get a little X, a little cross, and if I double click on that, it should apply that as far down as Excel sees what I'm doing. So there's two ways of doing that. That's kind of a slick way, especially if you happen to have 3,000 lines of it, and you want to apply it. Maybe you've got this massive database that's got 18 bazillion clients in it. And I mean, if you don't think that's what you get when you go to a bank or something like that, and all of a sudden your boss says, we also need to know, and they give you some new piece of information that you need. And so you go into your database and basically add a column, and now you've got to insert the formula into that entire column. Well, you insert it into the top one, and you go click, click, shoo, and it fills the rest of it. Otherwise, you've got to copy it and try to paste from the very top to the very bottom. And you can do that. And you click on the first one, and then you do a Control down, and it should take you to the bottom of the spreadsheet, and then click into that last one with the Shift key down, and it would highlight all 10 bazillion lines. Not pretty. Not pretty at all, because it will go slower than molasses. And every time you make a mistake, you have to start over again. And so that's just kind of a cool feature. So anyway, we went in here, we did that, we made out, we went through copy paste stuff. One thing that said is sort largest to smallest under A. So they want us to sort by client number. So they're going to go here and then go up to data. We're going to go sort smallest to largest. Boom. So now we have that. And that's pretty much it. And they tell you to save it. And that's the end of 3A. We go to 3B. Open and sort the ranges in the range E4. So now we're going to sort it by rate. So we go, wait, what did it say? Sort the range, rates in the range, descending order, and maintain the relationship. Okay. So when we were in A4 and we sorted, because we were at the beginning of the rows or the column, so to speak, the default for Excel is to expand it to the entire row. So when we sorted by rate, it included everything in the row to the right of it. Right, left, right. But as soon as you're not in the first row, that rule doesn't apply anymore. So it's possible to sort a row without any action being, occurring in the rest of it. You can also sort several rows by one thing inside of that without affecting the rest of it. A good example might be, you've got here's your spreadsheet, and you've got, your names here, and events over here. I don't know, because you're being lazy and it's all in the same spreadsheet. And I want to sort this by, the date column. And I want to sort this by the, last name column. I can sort this separate from that. And matter of fact, if I don't do that, then everything in this row all the way across is going to get sorted based on whatever thing I'm picking. So if I say, hey, I'm going to sort by date, it's going to impact this totally. And this is not how you set up a spreadsheet, but people do it, I do it. It all depends on what I'm trying to put on one page. I'm trying to give a little spreadsheet I want to give out to people. It's a budget something, who knows what. It's not an active sheet as much as it is a way of displaying the information. And you just have to be careful. I can sort the entire thing by one column of values, like the date. Or I can select a range and then go into sort and tell it to only sort by whatever that column is. Or I can just sort the date column and leave everything else the way it is, which would kind of mess other things up. But so just keep that in mind, and I'll show you how you can do some of that. So we're going to go here, and we're going to quite slow. I'm just going to highlight this, and I'm going to go up here to data. And I can go to advanced. If I say sort A to Z, notice this little warning pops up. And it either says expand the selection or just continue with the current selection. If I did just the current one, it's going to change everybody's rate because the customers stay the same, but the rates all get shuffled around. Not a good thing to do. So in this particular case, that's exactly what we would want to do, is expand the selection, and it would sort it just like it did when we were in A4. Remember, if I'm in the very first column, it will default and do everything, but as soon as I'm not in that first column, it's going to ask me this question. And so I'm going to hit sort, and it sorts everything. Now what I'm going to do is, just to give you an idea, let's just say I wanted to sort this, but I'm going to sort it by the hour.
Just the way you like this.
Huh?
All right.
I'm talking to someone else.
Oh, all right. So I'm going to go up here to advanced, sort. I'm going to use the sort button, not the, wherever it is. Not that A to Z or Z to A, but there's a sort button there, and that opens up the dialog box. So when I click that, I get this, and it says, what do you want to sort by? Notice how right here it says my data has headers. Did I include the headers?
No.
So I better unselect that. Otherwise, it's going to ignore that top three. And now I'm going to say I want to sort it by column D based on values from smallest to largest. And it's only going to apply it to my selection. See? I didn't have to do anything in the F column because those are formulas. They automatically updated when I changed my data. I'm not saying this is what you should do in this case, because I just changed everybody's rates and their service dates. But that's how you can sort just a section of one table. Let me do a control Z if I feel wrong. You're supposed to do that. So those are how you can sort that. And so pretty much you finish that, and then pretty much all done, and you'd save that and update that. So that was that. Next question. Let me get another.
I already figured it out.
Okay.
I thought I had 3 pages of project 1, but it was like in the last, one of the last steps of the page.
If I get, you know, if it called for 5 files and you gave me 6, and because I've had this happen and people will update 2 of the same file, I'll take whatever the later date is, you know, because my EMCC will postmark it, so to speak, and I'll know which one is your later one. Or if one of them's right and one of them's wrong, I'll take the right one. I'll probably put a comment in. Have the comment section things been working? Where I have a little, I mean, I know you want feedback from me, it's hard when, so I just do that copy and paste of what the files are, and then I put my comments next to it.
No, it has been working pretty well. It gives me a little email notification with a summary of all your comments.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know there have been some conflicts with the type of Excel that we're using
Yep.
for something like that. I've just been leaving comments in the page where, you know, there would be like a little red corner tag
Right.
that pops up. Should I be doing that, or should I be sending you an email specifically for that?
If you don't send me an email, just put, you know how you can put a comment into an assignment? I see those when I go to put my comments in. Just in case I missed that little, you know,
Yeah.
in any one week, I might, you know, I think in this past week, I probably corrected, you know, 120 Excel files. And I get a little buggy after a while. And I don't always see those. They're, you know, they're tiny little things in the corner. But by all means, just tell me, put it in there. So I put, you can even just say, I put 2 comments in there. That way I know to go look at it. One thing that, which I should remember too, if I go to put a comment in here, I go here, I go to insert, and I add a, where's the comment? Go here, insert a comment, and I'm going to put in, you know, don't do this. And I now have a comment in here. Actually, I think it's Google that does it. Never mind, I like what Google does. If you have comments in a page, they show up down here in the sheets. So it would say sheet 1, and I think it's in parentheses 1 or 2 or 3. And it tells you how many comments are in that page. So it's a good way to pick up on it. I thought Excel was the one that did that, but it must be Google. Other questions about the homework?
I'll just look at your comments right now.
Yeah, the new Excel, it doesn't have the header and footer in there. I mean, you have to look it up. I mean, I had to go to the search and find it that way.
Yeah. So what's the rule that I've told everybody from the beginning? There's how many ways to do everything? There's like 5 different ways. I have no way of knowing whether or not you did what the book said when it said, go to this tab, go to that, you know, section of the review, go do this, go do that. All of the features should be there. The things you're going to get into trouble, you know, as in you can't do it. Well, it'll be things like themes that you may not have. And then there's nothing I know of that I can do here on the online version, although some of them may be downloadable, but I don't know how you do that with the online version. Check that
I was missing the legal theme.
Yeah.
So I had to download that separately.
Yep. So
So the objects on Mars, what was the those formulas like, what's the end of this formula, or what was that?
I have to go look.
I was kind of wondering like what I was supposed to do, because like parts of that, like it seemed like it was already done.
Right, that's what I thought.
Oh, I think that was the one that I ended up posting it with the formulas by mistake. So you got a freebie?
So we didn't really have to do anything about it.
No, I think that was my mistake.
Just join it.
Where is it? No, I don't know where it went.
Robot.
Huh?
Oh, that was the file you said I was missing in Robot in chapter 5.
Sorry, so what was the question then?
Oh, it was just a comment on my previous question that you gave me an email and said I didn't do the section robots in chapter 5.
Yeah, is it in there?
I'm not sure if it's in the book or not, but I'm assuming.
We'll check back in your My EMCC and see whether or not the robot file was in your chapter. What chapter was that? I forget which chapter that was, but just make sure it was there. If it's already uploaded, just let me know and I'll go back in and look at it. It didn't show up when I was looking through. If it isn't uploaded, do it and upload it, or find it on your computer and upload it and let me know, and I'll pop back in and take a look at it. Let me just grab my files for the homework. This is where that doing 2 classes on slightly different schedules.
There are a couple more chapters here for sure for us, so.
Because there were a couple of things I wanted to talk about in terms of where I see a lot of errors coming. It's you're learning about it. So. Chapter 1, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and I go get Excel again. So one of the things I wanted to point out to everybody in Excel here, let's just take a look at this, these numerical columns here. And if we go to home, you'll see that on your numbering system, they're currently in the accounting format. But if you're used to doing money and you open that up, some folks will grab the currency format, which is fine, but it gives you a different look. So if we drop down and look at currency, it puts the dollar sign directly in front of the numbers. There's a reason accountants don't use this. Anybody figure out why?
Don't misread it sometimes.
They will misread it because they already know they're looking at dollar signs, or for the most part. And what they don't want is they don't want they don't want it stuck in right with it, because they're not going to pick up on things as easily because they've got to subtract the dollar sign mentally as they look at those numbers. So they use, this, where the number is all by itself. It's one of the reasons why they call it the accounting format. It's cleaner and it's useful. Some people don't like it. Some people like it. If you were off in Word and it was embedded in your document and you had dollar signs far away from the numbers, it would probably confuse you a different way. But in Excel, they just simply put the dollar sign off to the side. Now, we'll put it back. If we just have numbers, then of course we lose the, I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit. Zoom. That's done. Now, this is a good feature too. If you're looking at a lot of little numbers and you want them to be bigger or smaller, I can go in here and change the zoom. So it was at 100%. I'm going to make it 130%. There. And notice that this resolution, the C is now a little small. And you'll notice that the general number theme doesn't have any dollar signs. It's not percentages. It's nothing else. And if I go back over to home, I can also do, that's pretty much it. General just loses any of the decimal points. And the default for money, if you use either currency or accounting, is to have the $45.00. But if you don't want that to show, then you can increase the number of decimal points. A few people selected 1 decimal point, which you'll never see money written as. You'll either see big numbers written without the zeros. Trust me, when they do the national debt, they don't include the number of pennies. They usually don't include anything under $1 million, because it's, it changes so fast, it wouldn't matter. Or the current operating budget of IBM, it's like, there is no such thing. There's a guesstimate that some accountant puts together, but it changes instantaneously. So, it's just somebody's guess. But let me change this number to 45 and 40 cents. So watch what happens if I go down to still $45, right? But if I was at 45 and 60 cents and go down to 46.
It rounds it up.
It rounds it up or down depending on what you're looking at. If I needed to do something other than that, I'd have to use a formula. And in Excel or Google Sheets, they have the functions round, round up, round down. If you don't remember from your math class, anything that is 0.499 and less is going to round down to the next number, and anything that's 0.500, whatever, and more is going to round up. But we can do, equals round and this number, and it would go to $54. If we did round up, it would go to $54. If we went round down, it's going to ignore the fact that this is above the halfway point, and so it's going to round it down to $53. So all of those are available. Questions? So that was something on that I just had wanted to touch on. Okay, chapter 2, is that what was due today, right? Or what did you already, no, you already did chapter 2.
Chapter 4 and
Yeah, sorry.
The robot one.
The other class just.
The Mars.
Right, okay, I'll get to that in a second. So there was one that was called dollar-wise. Let me go open that one real quick. And a lot of people have an issue. screen. DW. Okay, so in this particular one, hopefully you can all see it. It asks you to come up with the averages of those three along this side. What killed a number of people in this and my other class is there are three very distinct differences between zero, NA, and an empty cell when you're using formulas. So if I have zero, I think the example is 93 and zero, or if I have not applicable 90 or not available, not applicable, or if I have an empty cell, a 93, and an empty cell, and I do an average of these, of these three, this top one gives me a 31. Because 0 plus 93 plus 0 is 93, divided by 3 gives me a 31. The average of these three is a 93. And the average of the bottom row is a 93. Because Excel will only average or sum or count if there's something there. That it can do that. Because average only applies to numbers, cannot be applied to text. So if you put an NA or whatever else, none, whatever it is, if it's not a number, it won't be included in the average. And since an average or a sum means that you're going to be doing all the things to everything in that set of cells, so you have to be careful not to confuse an empty cell or an NA or whatever with something else. And I don't even remember what my directions had been on that, but so the original document had zeros in there, which would, means either they didn't take it, they completely failed it. Boy, it's hard to get a zero. And so my assumption would be, like here, somebody missed their exam, never retook it, and so the date went by and they ended up with a zero at it. So in this case, their average really was a 31, but if you had left them blank or done something else, you'd come up with a completely different answer. Makes sense, right, Connie? And I think almost everybody got what went down below, which was what's the minimum score, the maximum score anybody had, what's the average of this test 3, and there was one other as well, except for somebody who labeled it test 4 by mistake, and like silly thing. I think everybody did okay on that one. Everybody did okay on that one. Chapter 3. Chapter 3.
I used more complicated formula.
Yeah, that was an interesting one for a few people. I mean, hey, if it works. I am really good at math. And I can say that because, when I've been tested in math, I come out at the 99.9%. So I'm good at math. I get it. And I yet remember, because the way my brain works, still in high school or whatever, going, because my brain would get stuck on trying to transition from days of the week to numbers or something like that. And it's like, well, now I'm counting in sevens, not tens, or whatever it is. And I just had to stop and go back to third grade, and I'm counting on my fingers. It didn't bother me. So whatever it takes to get the correct answer. So in this case, they were asking for, yeah, I know, it was the net. So you had, your gross pay, your withholding, which if you ever had a job, that's, that's your federal taxes. And then you also had your Social Security tax, because in case any of you want to retire, like myself in a few years, I'd like to be able to pull from Social Security. And then you have what they call your net pay. So gross is your hourly wage times the number of hours you work. There's a formula that accountants and accounting software use to calculate your withholding based on what you put on your W-4 form. And then Social Security is simply, it's a percentage, a fairly small percentage of what you put in on your Social Security. So gross pay, I'm just going to say it's $500. And for the sake of argument, withholding is $80. Social Security is $15. I'm making it up. And so then you need to figure out what your net pay is. Well, it's going to be this minus that minus that. But anybody happen to have the cell? Well, what is it? A2, B2, C2, and D2. I'm just making it up as I go here. So the formula, the easiest formula to put in D2 right here is equals A2 minus B2 minus C2, and you're done. But, you can do this, equals A2 minus B2 plus C2. That works. Yeah. So you're adding together the things that you're going to subtract and then subtract them together. Perfectly fine, it works. You remember your distribution properties, you apply this negative sign to this, and you end up with what's above it. Now, it's getting a little carried away when you do this.
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah, somebody had one more, whatever in there. All of these work. They're all actually work. If you were to get your calculator out, that works, must be right. So always double check your work. We should be able to say, okay, well, I should be getting a net pay of $405. If I get my calculator out and do 500 minus 80 minus 50, $405. If this formula gives me 12,915, go back to the drawing board, right? Because your brain should always be engaged when you're using formulas. If the output of your formula makes no sense, don't do it. We had, and I know this was an error in the book where it asked you to do a 2% increase over, and I think it was back in the Word, when we're doing tables in Word. And so the answer was, what was it? Let's just say, this year, next year, and this year you're making $13.35, an hour, and next year you're going to make 2% more. And the book said to take this number and multiply it by 102, which would put you at $1,335 an hour. That's where your brain should have kicked on and said, I'm pretty sure a 2% increase would not put me into that kind of pay scale. So what it should have been, this is, A, to B, and you were trying to come up, with what this was, and that but, it should be A2 times 1.02, which would have given you whatever, 1332 and another 2% mark. You could also have done A2 times 102%. You just couldn't have done 102 by itself. These two will both be, if I've been smart, I would have just said $10 an hour. Sorry, you're not even making minimum wage anymore in Maine, but, so this would have been, be making $10.20 next year, 20% more, 2% more. And you get that from either one of these two. But if it was 102, then you'd be back up to that $1,020 per hour. I once had a consulting job where I was getting $75 an hour, but that was a while ago. And trust me, you don't get a lot of hours, but when you get them, you get to charge good for it. A couple of years ago. So anyway, other things to keep an eye out for is if you've got this nice chart and you end up doing copying and pasting, one of the things you may have noticed when you copy and paste, if you just use Control-C, Control-V, you bring with it whatever the formatting was from your other, from where you took it from. So if you copied from a place that was one shade of color and paste it someplace else, you're going to bring that with it. If you had an underline under it, it's going to be underlined. A good example, might be, so if I just took this test 2, I realize it's not a number, but Control and copied it, and I put it down here. Notice it's bold, and it's got all of the lines around it that it would have had up at the top. Anybody know how to not get that?
Isn't there an option in the paste menu
Yes, there is.
to do it without formatting?
Yep. So if I go here, I can either do paste values. So just the value. Notice it's showing up, it even previews it for you. Shows it without the bold and without the formatting lines. And I can, it's not a formula. It's not formulas and, see a bunch of these, you can just, so this is keep source formatting, so wherever it came from. Anyway, just use this one. Cool. And you bring it down without any of the other stuff. Does that still work? Okay. Anything, and I'll get the rest of your Excel probably corrected before Thursday. I've been getting caught up pretty quickly. Any other Excel questions?
Not Excel question, but I need to go.
Oh, sure.
So we have some chapters left. Is the exam gonna cover those chapters? That like Excel chapters that we're not taking?
No. So yeah, if it hasn't been assigned, it's not going to be on the test.
So we're skipping all this.
There's no physical way for me to ask you to do. We haven't even started PowerPoint, and I wanted to spend a couple of classes on that. So we're going to start with that now. I'm going to run through a presentation. Your homework for Thursday is PowerPoint Chapter 1, Projects 2 and 4. Not too bad.
1 and 3.
Only if you want to.
That's it.
Well,
See what happened to 1 and 3.
Project 1 is things like open and close a PowerPoint. It's like
with the PowerPoint icon and you hit the X and you it out.
Well, and that's why I'm not asking you to turn in something. I may.
I'm gonna have 100 right there, I already told you.
No. All right, give me a second.
So it's 3 then.
One, I don't remember about 3. All right. So funny, I was starting to get ready for this class and I was going to do a slides presentation from Google for PowerPoint. I said, all right, well, maybe I should at least stick with, PowerPoint.
Oh, they use Google Slides. Yeah.
They are so close to being the same. The things that I have found to be particularly useful with using the Google Suite is that wherever you sit down to a computer, you can open it up. You don't have to download it and modify it and then upload it back.
All you need is Wi-Fi.
There was a time when Google Drive was young where you could open Microsoft products directly from Google. So go to your Google Drive, there's a PowerPoint, you double click on it and the PowerPoint would open up with it. And there was,
They still do?
you cannot do that anymore.
Well, you can still open up my Word stuff and
If you have Google Drive installed on your computer, now you can see it, but you can't edit it as a Word document.
yes.
Which one are you using?
I use Google Drive. I use Google Drive.
I'll just show you.
I can download it as a Word file.
Right, but what I mean is, it used to be, you would just, if you opened it from the Google file, modified it, and saved, it would save it right back into the drive.
Oh.
So you didn't have to download it at all. You didn't have to. Now, if you have Google Drive on your computer, which is different than Google Drive in the cloud, you can have a mirror on your. Good a time as any to say this, so. So here's your computer. It's a laptop, can you tell? And here's the cloud. And we're going to make it a Google Cloud. Google Cloud. And so here's Tom's drive. And I've got a PowerPoint in there. So if I want to use it on my computer, I can go into my drive on my browser, find that PowerPoint, and if I double click it, it's not going to give me the option to open it. It's going to say, do you want to open it in slides? Which means it will convert it and make a copy of it in slides. Do I want to view it as a PDF? Or do I want to download it? Those are my choices. And so I will download it onto my hard drive, and I will operate on it and go ahead and save it. The other option is that on my hard drive here, I will have my Google Drive app running, which is a mirror of my Google Drive up there. And so the funky thing is, if I go to that same PowerPoint that's over here, so this PowerPoint exists in both places. It's not a link, it literally exists in both places. If I'm not on the web, I can open it up. And so if I go here and double click on that, it will open it directly into PowerPoint. And when I hit save, it will save it directly back into here, but this is directly linked and it will sync back and forth. So that's possible, but if you've got a gigabyte on the internet, your Google Drive, you need a gigabyte set aside down here to hold that, or however much. And trust me, if you've got a lot of stuff, you had, 10 gigabytes up here, and our office, I think we currently have about 110 gigabytes on the drive. So what you have to be careful of is if you start a new machine for the office, that you do not install Drive and tell it to sync everything. Because you're going to lose your internet for about 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. Because it's going to have to download 110 gigabytes off the internet in order to sync those two to where they need to be. So, there's pluses and minuses. Well, yeah, that would be the kind of thing if you were an IT professional and, you've got a service order to bring a new computer online. Anna just started working and she needs her computer brought up to speed, and it's got to have Google Drive on it with everything linked from the accounting department. Sorry, I just made you an accountant. On there, ready
good money here.
ready for her to, get started on Monday. That would be, you're in your own local, probably high-end network someplace, but if not, you simply set it to do it sync, or, it's 5 o'clock, you're on the way out the door, ding, all right, and let it then spend overnight to get synced up. Rather than doing that at 9 o'clock in the morning and wondering why everybody is calling IT to complain about how slow the internet is. It's kind of like if this lab had been shut down for a while and this was not now that this is no longer running off, well, it is running, never mind. But if this was a lab that had individually installed Windows machines, we shut it off, waited 2 or 3 months, and then turned them all on. Guess what the first thing it does is?
Checks for Windows updates.
It checks for Windows updates and updates every single one of these machines. And if you had Windows 10 Service Update number 2 come out, which took 2 hours to download for one machine, you'd be really messed up. Which is why places like colleges and universities and large businesses will run a networked version of that software, so that rather than going to Microsoft, when they log on, they can get everything from a local mirror that's being run off of a local server.
So are you talking basically about like a re-imaging process?
Well, you can re-image and you can just boot from the network.
Because when I was working for TSS South, that's what we were doing for the new HP laptops. We were booting from IPv4 and then booting up Windows 10 Professional for each single laptop.
And did they? What was the update process, or did you have to bring it back and update it?
I actually, the updating just did it all together. They made it as simple as possible. They told me beforehand it used to be a longer process, but with HP they just made it just a simple job.
Yeah. Well, the easiest way to do it is to have one master copy on one server, and everybody pulls from that.
And that's generally
and that works fine. And in here, these windows are all coming off of a server.
Right.
They're using even though we're on our own network now, they're still using the IT department's master server for the Windows. So that one gets kept up to date, and by default, then all of these will be kept up to date.
Right.
But the only way you can, well, even that you probably can't get away from, because I don't think these things will boot up without being able to access. Some you can't set it up so that if I don't have access to the internet, I can at least run a local copy. But what's that? That's a thinner client, thicker client, or whatever. And that's side discussion. So that was just, if you go into Google, when you're using Microsoft products, it gets a little bit more tricky. Now, Microsoft has their own cloud, which doesn't do that. And I think the reason why Google could do it and then they couldn't do it is, I'll tell you one, and I didn't keep up with it, was that there was probably a legal battle between the two, and Microsoft said, I don't think so. Or maybe it was Google said, if we force people to convert it over to slides, they'll get used to using slides and we'll stop using PowerPoint. I don't know the reasoning behind it, I just missed it when they took it away. Because when we first started using Google Drive, you could directly open Microsoft products from it and save it directly back to it. And now you can't do that anymore. So whether or not it was a Microsoft issue or not, I just don't know. Okay, let's go back to what we were doing. Oh, see, I just double clicked on it. What did it do? It said, I mean, it gives me a preview, but it also says open with Cloud Convert, Google Slides, PDF, and whatnot. So I'm going to go back one, and I'm going to say, do a double click right here. Download. I want to use PowerPoint. No, I want to use the PowerPoint viewer. This is just another good thing if you're out in the world, the big, bad, nasty, scary world. If you find yourself on a machine that does not have PowerPoint on it, and yet you showed up with your thumb drive ready to present and found out nobody's got PowerPoint anywhere, you can download a free PowerPoint viewer from Microsoft. It doesn't allow you to edit anything, but you can give your presentation of a PowerPoint slideshow without having to pay anything. So, you know, it's been a long time since this happened because, to be honest, right now, the other option is to, I don't know, just download it on Google and run it in a slides, format. But you won't always get everything translated over when you go between a PowerPoint and a slides or slides and a PowerPoint. Because you can take a slides presentation in Google and save it as a PowerPoint. So they're so close that it gives you a little bit of both. Boy, they made that side small over there. I'm going to make it a little bigger. So what I've done is I've made a fairly simple presentation here of chapter 1. This is your homework, projects 2 and 4. I'm going to go through. I'm just going to be using this. I'm not giving it as a slideshow because I need to show you around PowerPoint. I know a lot of you have used PowerPoint. Bear with me. There's a lot of features there. And as with Word and Excel, there's 4 or 5 different ways to do just about everything. The first thing is, let's walk around the whole thing. Same as with the others, we've got a quick access toolbar at the very top, which on this one it has save, undo, redo, start the show from the beginning. But I can also go in and select other things that I might want to do. Maybe I want new slide to be something that I can put up there. I can go down and find that, and there's more commands. Literally every single command that you have from all of the toolbars is in here, and I can add it to my quick taskbar. I'm not going to, but that's where I'm going. What did I just say was the one add a slide, right? New slide right here. So I could click this, move it over to add it to this place over here. I can even move it up, so I want it to be right next to the save. I'll add it, okay. And there it is right there. So I now have it at the top of the screen. All I have to do to start a new slide is click that. Title bar, sorry, I got the.
So how long would we be spending on PowerPoint?
Well, about 2 days. Not a long time. We don't have a long time. Unless I'm wrong, and I will confirm that today or tomorrow when I get back in here because I got classes till 5. My understanding is that our test will be on the 5th because that's our last day to meet. Unlike classes that end at the end of the semester, so like I teach the same class again, starting after you, but it goes to the end, and they can have their final in the final section. Whereas you don't have a final section. There's no days set aside for the finals for classes in the middle of the, the beginning. I don't make the rules, it's the way it is. So your final is the last day of class, which, as far as I understand, is March 5th.
Is it Thursday?
No,
It's a Tuesday.
Tuesday?
So, anyway, that gives us today, it gives us Wednesday, Thursday, and
There it is.
and then there it is. So we're going to do 2 days of PowerPoint. I will take late work right up till Friday next week, but I have to turn the grades in next Friday. So if you've got outstanding work, you'll need to have it corrected by then, or give me a plausible reason why an incomplete should be warranted, and we can give you some more time to try to get caught up. Which I don't have a problem with, but you've got to be the ones to do the work. As with before, we've got all of these tabs up here on the title bar. File brings you back to the, come on, you can do it. I don't know why what those blue lines are. They're not on mine. Neither is mine.
Oh, these pinkish lines here.
Yep.
Well, that's because they haven't registered the license with the iDisplay
So,
thing, and it's, I don't know.
I mean, they're
There's one
not,
right behind you too.
right, they're not showing up on mine, so who
Who's
knows?
doing the monitors?
They just changed the way the monitors work. But, so the backstage is the same as you would see a backstage for Word or Excel. That's where you go into print, save, open new, close, any of those options. And then to get back out of it, you've got this back arrow at the top. And the home is where you're going to do probably 90% of what you need to do. You're going to be able to insert slides, use you have the clipboard up here like you had for Word. So you can copy into the clipboard, paste out of the clipboard. We're going to run through some of those as we go. You've still got the tell me how to option up here. So like new slide. There it is. I get the option for a new slide. If I can't find it, I can use that to go get it. You've got the ribbon here. It's funny, I can't see it on my screen, but I can see it on yours. There's a collapse button right in the corner here. This was there for Excel and it was there for Word. And so if I need more space, I don't really want to see that, I can collapse that. Then I always forget how to get it back.
I think it's on the top right corner, the first.
No.
I think if you right click on where the toolbars are, there's a thing that says expand the ribbon.
Oh, it says collapse the ribbon, so I'll uncheck it. I'll come back. There we go. Thank you. I never close it, so. You do have a zoom option down here in the bottom corner, which will zoom what's in the part that's showing. You can literally type in a number value if you want to. So just another way to get to your zoom. You can also get to that through view and the zoom right here. You have a status bar down here at the bottom. I don't never really use it. And you've got, of course, scroll bars to allow you to scroll top and bottom and right and left. I'm just getting some sugar in there.
You start recording.
Huh?
You record.
I did start the recording.
You didn't even have to leave yourself a note.
No, I didn't. All right. Well, I'll go now.
Why would you take those sugars if you don't need them?
I'm pretty sure I do. I feel that way. Says I don't, but 22 years of it, I still feel like I'm wrong. It won't kill me if I'm wrong.
See,
Excuse me. Anyway, so you go to the file, that's where you open, close, and do all that. Planning a presentation. So it's important when you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, you think a little bit before you go. Same as if you're giving a speech, because in many ways, PowerPoint is designed for you to present material to an audience. Most people, it's to give a live presentation, but a lot of people use it for handouts. A lot of people will use it to create a web kiosk or a kiosk that's running at a particular location. You might go to a trade show and you want this little slideshow to be running continuously so you can talk to people, but ooh, there's this stuff running in the background because 3 other people walked up. You're still busy talking to one person. You want them to watch what's going on, and what your product is all about or your service. You can save your PowerPoint presentation as an MPEG file so that you can make movies of whatever you put in your slideshow. You can do that with or without audio. You can do it manually, advancing the slides and talking into the microphone, or you can set it entirely up to be automated. So it's completely up to you. But generally, you got to know what your main theme is. You want to keep each slide to be reasonably simple, and don't put too much stuff on any one slide because it's going to take A, you too long to go through it, and B, if it gets to be too small, people don't read it. Even this slide probably has too much stuff on it, but I didn't want to make too many slides. A really awesome slideshow is going to have an image and 2 or 3 bullet points. And it's going to just cycle through them like that, and off you go. But the better the slideshow, usually the more time you have to invest as well.
Oh, you want us to make a slideshow?
Well, I'm sure you'll make a slideshow, yes. You need to determine how you're going to be using this, because the way you lay it out is going to be different if its plan is to print it, which is going to be different than if you plan it for a web, web clip that you're trying to do. You can make a PowerPoint presentation, save it as an MPEG file, upload it to YouTube, and then embed that YouTube into your Facebook page. I mean, all of this is possible, so go for it. You want to maintain a consistent layout throughout. You don't want every slide to be different. It confuses people and they'll lose interest. Unless for some reason you're making a slideshow on themes in PowerPoint, and then you can say, this theme is the Western theme. Notice the cowboys, and this theme is the duck theme. Notice the ducks, and I don't know, small cats hanging from bars. And then determining the output needed again. I realized that determining the display medium and determining output needed, they sound the same, but they're not. Are you going to be saving it as a PowerPoint, as a PDF, as an MPEG file, as whatever? Because that'll change a little bit as well. Now, plain black text on a white background is kind of boring. And so if we go to design, we have all these themes that we can pick from. And if you mouse over them, they will show you what that particular presentation looks like. And you'll notice I moused over this and it's like, but it didn't change it. It put a little blue bar. The reason for that is because when you look at those themes, most of it's only on the front page, on your title page. Whereas this one right here, the ION presentation puts color on all of the slides. So not all themes do all the same things. I'm going to pick this, and all of my slides will pick up that. And then the cool thing is I can go over here to color variations and change what color I want. You even have more to pick from. Colors, you change the fonts, change the effects. I'm just going to leave it. So you've got styles that you can use. Changing a slide layout. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a new slide because I don't want to mess this one up. And I'm going to do that by going right between the two slides here on the side. And I can either go up to Insert, New Slide, and it puts in a new slide. Then what you see on the side, with a title and then a body, that's your basic slide. But I can go up here and I can change what format I want. Title and contents, section headers, side by side, doing a comparison, title only, nothing at all, content with caption. I got all sorts of things I can put in there, depending on what I want to do. Any questions on that? And one of the things you might find is, if I go back, I'm going to go back up to this one. This one seems a little busy. Maybe the list got too long. I could change the format of this slide to a side-by-side table. Oh, I didn't want to delete it very much. I want to change it. So, should say 2 points for the. There we go. Well, I'm going to do a right mouse click layout, and I'm going to change it to a side-by-side to content. And now you see how there's two. I can just grab half of this and cut it and put it over here. And so now I took one slide and I easily transitioned it to something else. If I had wanted to add a picture over here, I could click the picture option in this, go and find a picture. Now, one of the interesting things, if I say insert picture, it'll ask me if I want to insert one from my computer or the web. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to really give you that choice over here. So it's almost easier to just go click off of anything and insert a picture from online. Just like we did for the mountain in Australia, and we went to an online, well, actually that one. And so we now have our rocket band. Oh, so I wanted to flip the other way.
Can you do the editing features like you can in Word on the picture in
Yep.
PowerPoint?
Yeah, so if you look up at the top, color, Set transparency. And I know there's a flip, but I'm just going to do it.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, it's it's cool, except you have to be careful about stretching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you don't pay attention to how wide the picture is, and you go to flip it, and you make it shorter or longer, you're going to get, you know, a elongation or a shortening of the picture, which
Right.
starts to look funny because.
Now it's distorted and pixelated.
So you can either eyeball it. I could have paid attention to how wide the object was to begin with, simply make it the same width. And I know there's a flip button here someplace, but I'm not, you know, poke around for it.
Oh, it's probably under rotate.
Yeah, there we go. So I should have just done that. Let me go all the way back. So there we go. I could remove the background. And then format, arrange.
Where were you?
Oh, wait, where was it?
It was under rotate. You just had it. Go back under arrange.
Oh, okay, there we go. Rotate, flip horizontal. There we go. So that would have kept the dimensions, you know, perfect. You'll notice that as with when we did it in Word, you might end up with some artifacts around the image, you know, based on how clean it could or could not do that. I mean, there is a reason why when you pay $200 or $300 for Photoshop or PaintShop Pro or some of the professional editing softwares, some of them give you some slightly more hefty features. But you also, the learning curve on those can be a little bit steep.
Hmm.
So now you notice we lost that other text box that was over here when we inserted an image. If we had inserted it on a regular file, you know, it would have looked, you know, more like this. In this case, it doesn't really make any difference. But what if, you know, now you would have had to have gone in there, done something to keep the text and the image apart. And you can either just do it by, you know, going in and making the text smaller. You could move the image over a little bit. You could move the text over a little bit. You could fudge, you know, all sorts of variables to try to make it all fit without overlapping. But I would expect anybody making PowerPoint presentations to make sure you don't have overlap unless you need to have overlap. Anyway, so where are we? Inserting, selecting, and deleting from slides. So there's, same as with Word, you can highlight it, you can delete it. If you can click someplace, like right here, I can hit actually, I probably did easy. I want to insert something there, I just hit enter. And now I can go ahead and type in, you know, whatever else.
So is everything in PowerPoint basically done in boxes?
It is.
That makes things quite easy.
Yes. And one of the coolest features is that, let me go back up to Mr. Flying Person here. I'm going to change the font here for a second to black. I know it's not easy to see, but you notice how medium, or even if I put the person is in front of the text. But what the cool thing with this, which you can't do with Word, is I can select this one, the flying person, and I can go up to arrange and I can either send backwards or send to the back.
Oh, it's like Photoshop
Yes.
allows you to do that
Yes.
in layers.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they treat it the same as layers but yes, it's like layers. And so if I send it to the back, now the text is in front of it. I can even go back to this, go to format, go to colors, it's a correction. I don't use this often. Yeah, I swear it's there. I'm gonna have to go look it up. Pretty sure you can wash the picture out. So that if you want that to be in the background, but not be so bright that it's like a watermark, I'm pretty sure you can do that. And set it as a faded, not the background. We've already disappeared the background. We want the picture itself fade out so that you can still read what's in front of it.
So now transition if you hit play.
Oh, it's the same as in Excel. There is an option to do that. That's what I did with the objects on Mars.
Yeah. So, and if you can do it in one of them, you should be able to do it in the others, but like Word doesn't let you do ordering front to back. It's there or it's not. Well, with the exception that you can put something in front of text or behind text. Now, I'm not sure how it orders pictures, because I know you can overlap pictures in Word.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how you set the order. I don't know if you've got move forward, move backward. Probably does. If you're doing that much stuff in Word, then you probably should invest in Publisher. You know, and Publisher is like a Word version of PowerPoint in that it lets you kind of have some of the features of Word, columns, type the text in directly, but it also lets you move stuff around and do all of the, put objects on top of other objects and space it and have it be in front, behind, fade in, fade out. And Publisher's better at doing that than Word is. So that we're talking about, inserting, okay, so there's a lot of things that we can insert into a PowerPoint presentation. Pictures, we just did a picture. If I want to insert a table, if I go up to my insert here, you'll see there's tables, pictures, online pictures. You can do screenshots. So if you were showing somebody a presentation on how to use Photoshop, you know, you could keep taking screenshots of Photoshop, drop it into a PowerPoint, so you can make a presentation to walk a class through how to do that. You can do that fairly easily. Because if I click on this, it's going to ask me which of the currently open, so if I grab this, well, that's the one, because there's another window on my machine running for Zoom. And then I could grab this, and it's too big for the picture. So one of the things I can do is go up here to the size and just start making it smaller so it all fits on the. I'm not sure that's a helpful slide, but you know, there it is. I can also, if I grab the corners, it will zoom it and stay in a ratio that's natural. If
Can't
I
you
grab,
also hit shift to keep it equal?
Yeah, I believe so. So if I go to shift,
Oh, yeah, here's a picture.
Nope.
There is a button for the background. And the format picture.
so what'd you call it?
It's like the format picture, you can make it as a background. I think it's a third button next to the trend.
Over here or up
Down
above?
on top, like right next to the picture. Oh, wait, I'll show you. Here, explain. This is the picture effect that you can make it as a background.
Yeah, well, here, you know what? See, and the problem is if I type in transparency, it's going to tell me how to make the background transparent on the picture. I don't want that. I want to change the, so you know what I would do? I'd go,
Try to make your picture printable. That was very helpful.
Okay, so for whatever reason, Lisa, this one, which just came out 2 weeks ago, dropdown allows you to add transparency to a shape but not to a picture. Ooh, I know, duh, that's how you do it.
Oh, yeah, you add a shape
You add
and
the
then
shape,
change it.
Make the picture the background, and then you can make the shape transparent.
That's what I did.
Because there's nothing, nothing quite simple about it.
Yeah, and then you just change it to 75%, so it's like the background.
Yep. So, in case you missed that, because it's really a cool thing, when you insert a shape, insert a rectangle, then we're going to go over to fill. We're going to do a picture, online, search. Look at me. And, different things, different days. Insert. There it is. And then what I can do is I can set the transparency back. Now, I'm not sure. Yeah, so I can't set the transparency color of that picture inside the object. So it's like, no, I want them both. One of the things I could do if I have an editing software is I save the picture I want. Using that editing software, give it a transparent background, which you can do. Save it as a JPEG or a GIF, the transparent background. Then import that as what's the filler and background of the object, and then fade the entire object. I think that would work. I mean, we're just having a esoteric conversation about how to do it. I think we're almost done here. Adjusting fonts and paragraphs, pretty much the same as in Word. You go up to the Home tab at the top, and you look under Font to change the font. You look under Paragraph to change and add bullets and numbering. Right align, left align, centered, line spacing, all of that fun stuff. Although, one thing you can do here, which you couldn't do elsewhere, is with an object highlighted, I should be able to go up to, there it is. I can go up to text direct under paragraph, why it's not, and I can do not that one.
Word search.
I'm going to open up more options. I'm surprised. Oh, I know. Well, I'm trying to spin it. I can do that. There we go. I can do some cool things with that. Yeah, I think it's probably all that same. So different views in PowerPoint. This is the normal view. And if you go up to view, at the top tab at the top, you'll see that normal is the default. That's what you're going to open up new presentations there. It gives you the slide in the middle. It gives you your slide manager at the left side. And it will give you any options on the right side that you had open. I can easily close this on the right. Gives me a little more space. Anytime I go to open up an object again, it's going to pop back up because that's where it likes to ask me to put in information. I can navigate by going page up, page down. I can navigate by scrolling over on the complete right side by going up and down pages. It was very slow. And I can also scroll up and down the slide sorter over here and pick whichever slide I want. Let's stay where we are. But I can also just do a page up, page down, page up, and it's going to take me around. Now, I can go to outline view. And the cool thing in outline view is if you're putting a lot of information in and you just want to type it, I can just go here and I can add, so we got reading view and then whatever view. And notice I'm just typing it over on the left side in the outline section. And it immediately becomes part of my slide. If I hit return and I want to start a new slide, if you're in a tabs and you want to move back one, do you remember what the word, how do you move back one level? Back.
Shift tab.
Huh?
Backspace.
Okay.
Shift tab.
Shift tab. And I can shift tab right back and start a new slide.
You just hit the arrow at the top, the back arrow up the top.
Oh, you mean the backspace?
Yeah, well, isn't there a, you must be thinking of something different.
Yeah, backspace is just going to delete it. But I think you have to do shift tab. So tab, if I did a tab right here, what it does is it's going to put a new something underneath whatever view. But if I do a shift tab, oops, sorry, I lost my. I mean, it's just one other way of getting new slides. So if I'm just trying to type, I can type in my whole slideshow without ever having to be over in the slides itself. And then once I've got all 12 slides in there, then I go start working on importing pictures, changing fonts, doing anything else I want to do. All right, I'm going to stop there. What's your homework?
Chapter 1, chapter 2.
Which two projects?
1 and 2.
2 and
4.
4. Yay!
I did it.
I knew you could do that.
Hey, Tom.
Yes?
I have one more question.
Okay.
I sent you an email, but I didn't get a response. Can you open up chapter 3 again for Excel?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe chapter 3 on Word.
Yeah, if people need a particular something open, send me an email.
Oh, I already did.
Yeah, I'll be here by 10. If you need me to be here a little earlier,
I'll show them.
we'll get you working. All right, that's it. Okay, 12 minutes before my next class.
I don't know why your students are making our home here.
I just like to take all the time in our